Okay, so welcome back to part 3 of our hobby design Nissan R33 400R build. I'm going to start off today by dual coating all of our seats. So we painted these, gave them a wash in the last few episodes. Obviously we use leather colours, but this is fabric on this car, so we really want to dull this down. So I've got Tester's dual coat, which is unfortunately a discontinued product, but in my opinion definitely one of the best matte clears out there. So it's been thinned about 50% with Stobby Rapid Thinner. And at about 18 psi, we're going to put a couple of coats down on all the parts just to take that high shine off. So it is a real shame this stuff's been discontinued. There are other matte clears out there, but I'm lucky enough to have 2 bottles of this, which should last me for the foreseeable future because you use very, very little matting down parts at all. So just go around all the parts I want matting. You can see it does take the sheen off absolutely beautifully. So perfect, just the look we want. So there we go, that's matted down all the leather colour and the decals as well. So with my freshly flocked interior done by my wonderful assistant Hannah, this has been flocked with matte black Revel enamel paint and ProScale paints flocking, the anthracite colour, and we've glued our wheels in place and our centre consoles in there too. So our seats are glued in place. Quite a tight fit on this, so they need a little bit of persuasion to sit in place. But once glued in, they were spot on, and the rear bench as well glued in place. Really love this anthracite colour. It is the perfect colour for a carpet interior, and it's by far my favourite colour out the range. So there we go, glued in place and ready for the next section. So we've got our gear shifter here as well. So we have our own little gear stick to put in this. I think it's the gear shifter. Yes, it is. So the gear shifter, or is it the handbrake? It's the handbrake actually. Tell a lie. But we have a gear shifter to go with. We've got a metallic one, a turned one. We've got the decals on our dashboard. And you can see the dashboard looking a lot better now it's been matte coated. Now it's lost that high shine. It looks a lot better. So we pop the decal in place, set it in place just as usual. And then there's loads of other little dials on the dash as well, which the decals come with the kit. So standard decal procedure, get them in place and set them. And then we've got our little turned gear knob. There we go, they came with the kit. Just pop that in place. And it should be black on the real car. I left it metal. I like the look of it bare metal, so I left it as is. And then with an Edin paint marker pen, we're going to detail up some of the switches and buttons on the dashboard. So these are an actual paint marker pen as opposed to an ink. So it lays down an actual paint, and they're ideal for jobs like this. So you just need a little bit of detailing. It does work really well. We've got the instrument binnacle as well we painted earlier on. This has had a few dabs of craft bond on the back from Tamiya. We just lay that in place and push it down over the bezels. Again, detail you won't see, but hey, it's part of the kit and I know it's there, so that's all that's important. And then a few dabs of CA glue on the back of the steering wheel, and we've got the photo etch centre to pop in place again that we painted earlier on. Now we've only painted the front because this is really the only piece you'll see. If you want to paint the back, you can just flip it around and paint it at the same time. But it literally lines up in those 3 locator points like so. And there we go, there's our steering wheel built up. Hold it for a second to till, let the CA glue grab it. And then we can glue this in place on the steering column. As you see, dashboard's looking good. Not bad at all. Got a nice wash on there as well. Put a Tamiya black panel line wash on there, as we did with all the seats, and it's definitely helped accentuate the detail a bit. And then we've got the central boss and decal in place on the steering wheel as well. So that's just glued in place and the decal set in the usual manner. And then our rear partial shelf has been flocked as well. And we've got some speakers to get in place as well, which has just fallen off. So there we go. Make sure we've got no glue in our fingers and pop it back in place. There we go. Looking good. And now we can start assembling. So I'm going to do a test fit first, make sure the dashboard fits in, which it does. The real partial shelf just slots in the back, so we know that works well. And now we're going to mask off for the windows. So We're going to mask all around the windows using some AZU 1 and 2mm tape. So right up the edge with the 1mm, and then we'll infill with the 2, and then finally use some Tamiya 6, 10 and 18 to infill the rest of the car. So this is a good stage. Once this is painted, all the windows, it just adds a little bit of depth to the car, makes it look a bit more realistic, a bit more interesting. So just like with polishing and hosing down the panel lines to get rid of the polish residue, this is another step I always enjoy doing. While the masking can be a bit tedious, it's pretty easy to do because you're just following the outer edge. And the AZU tapes make this an absolute doddle. They are by far some of the best tapes you can get, in my opinion. So it's just a case of going around the whole body and masking it all off slowly, piece by piece. So we've got the front, side and rear windows to do. So it's a few hours work. What is it? It's just gone up to 5 to 10 in the morning, or is that of an evening? Hard to tell. Hard to tell. But yeah, it's a few hours of work for literally 5 minutes of spraying and 2 minutes of taking it off. So it is rewarding and unrewarding at the same time doing it, because the result works really well. I also think having the black in the windows adds depth to the car. I've left them body colour before and it just looks wrong, and I think the matte Mr. Service of 1500 I use for the black allows the CA glue to grip a bit better than it does on totally smooth 2K. So I think it is beneficial in doing it. Like I say, it is a bit boring, but I actually don't mind masking. I'm a bit a bit psychotic like that. I do enjoy a bit of masking. Like I say, the AZU tapes make it a lot easier. So in the booth, we've got some Mr. Service of 1500 black, my Water HPC Plus, 18 PSI. We're just going to go around and gently infill all those windows. As you can see, we've masked off what we needed to with the tape, and for the rest of it, we've used saran wrap, cling film, sandwich wrap, wherever you want to call it from wherever you are in the world, to infill the rest. If you do use cling film as a masking accessory, I suppose we could call it, make sure you don't put it over unprotected decals, because I have seen it pull off decals in the past that haven't been cleared. I don't know what it is, but something about it makes it stick. And there we go, a few hours of masking, a couple of minutes of spraying, and literally a minute or so of unmasking. Make sure you detack all the tape, every single piece of tape that goes on the car. Put it on your fingers and detack it a couple of times to lose a little bit of the tackiness of the tape. Once we've got it unmasked, we give it another polish up to get rid of any residue. As you can see my watch, so I can see the time. Oh, I just can't see it. I just can't see it. We give it a clean up with our glasses cleaning cloth to get rid of any tape residue. Check for overspray, which there was none of on this at all. I did a very good job in the painting and masking on this. And as you can see, that just adds a little bit of depth. It's a bit more difficult to see on a black car, but it does add a little bit of depth to the vehicle itself. And then Vallejo model colour black with a nice flat brush. We're going to paint all the interior roof, A, B and C pillars, just down the door cards a little bit, and all in the wheel arches. And as usual, because you're putting a water-based paint over 2K, it will literally wipe straight back off if you get a little bit too much. So be careful, but don't be worrying if you get a little bit too much, because a moist cotton bud will take it off lickety-split in no time whatsoever. So you could mask and spray this. For me, I quite enjoy brush painting this stage. It's always a bit cathartic and therapeutic to go back to kind of your roots. And to be honest, it's a lot quicker than masking. It really is. And for something that you can barely see, because you can't really see it in the arches, you can't really see the roof inside, it's more than adequate. Now, one of the annoying points about this car is this, the mounting points for the screws. I don't know what's going on with my drill. I'm having a bit of trouble. I think it keeps getting stuck. But the mounting points were too shallow. And it just would not let the screw grab, so I ended up having to CA glue this on. So as you can see, I widened them there. It's such a messy job this, the resin gets everywhere. I've test fitted it and it did fit, but the screws when we come to fit it later are just too short. Anyway, so we're going to CA glue in the dashboard. For some reason they give you a screw hole in this, and there's no way I'm drilling through that bonnet, going anywhere near drilling that at all. So we get the dashboard in, and then we can do the door cards, which is normally the procedure for these. I would recommend dry fitting everything, because I've done this before and then found out something in particular won't fit in. Test fit everything before you commit to glue. And just at this point, start being careful with your fingers that you don't get CA glue on your fingers, and start putting it all over your beautifully finished body and on the car. Otherwise, it just ruins your hard work. So be careful with that CA glue. Make sure it doesn't start spilling out everywhere. Don't get it all over your fingers. Just blowing out a bit of resin dust. There we go. Get it all in place. Hold it for a few seconds and let the CA glue grab. There you go. That grey interior looking really good against the car. And then with the tub in place, we just check its fitment, and it fits in there very snugly. Interior's looking good. Yeah, like I say, test fit everything before you commit to any glue. That is my biggest tip on these kits. So we've got the intercooler in the front as well. And yes, I did very nearly forget to put it in there. Very, very nearly. And just a final test fit to check everything out. So we've still got the intercooler to paint. Well, technically, it's got a bit of photo etch for the front of it. And we've also got the stenciled part of the intercooler to put in as well, which is quite a cool feature that came with the kit. So they still need painting up before we can commit. And here it is. So we mistakenly painted this silver earlier on, and it's actually black. Now, I'm assuming this is an intercooler. I might be wrong, but I'm assuming it is. And we've got a nice Nismo photo etch stencil for it, which is a nice touch with the kit. So we get to have that nice fancy white writing in our front grille. So I put the Nismo template on top. We've got some Tamiya fine surface primer in white, and keeping the airbrush nice and straight, 90 degrees to the stencil. We're just going to spray very lightly until we're happy with the coverage, and it should give us a nice demarcated Nismo logo on the intercooler. So just a very light coat, hardly any paint going down at all. Just build it up nice and slow. And there we go. With the masking off, that looks really good. A nice little touch that comes with the kit. And there we go. Right. Front indicators and side indicators. Now, I made a mistake on the front ones to put them in with craft bond. That wasn't a mistake, but the amount I put in there was, I put way too much in there. So I spent more time cleaning it out than putting it in. The side indicators, I used craft bond as well. They were on no problem. And the rear lights have been painted silver inside with Vallejo Model Air silver. We've got some clear kind of backing pieces that sit in. And then we painted the rear reflectors in X27 clear red. And they're just going to be glued in with craft bond. And they're just pushed home nice and gently. And there we go. That's those in place. And the other side too. There we go. And there's our front Nismo intercooler, our lights, which are looking very snazzy. And now we've got the bottom in, and we're trying our screws, and this is where I realised that they're too bloody short. Look at that. What it is the chassis pan is too thick for it, and it wanted you, I think, to screw further up, and there's not enough meat in the resin that I'm going to risk drilling into it. So no way, Pedro, no way, Jose, are we doing that. Anyway, our lovely prepared discs and calipers were clear coated. I believe I 2K'd them, and with a bit of CA glue they're held in place. And it's now that I've found the hubs make the wheels protrude a little bit too much. So I'm just going to take out about 2.5 millimeters off each one, so it sits flush and makes the wheels sit in a bit lower. So using a JLC razor saw, which, fun fact, I actually broke my blade doing this. We're just going to lightly saw through both ends until we get it placed. Then we'll sand it nice and smooth. So we've got a really nice 90-degree angle. There we go. And then a test fit shows it actually slots in place well. Now again, there's screw holes here, and there's no way I am screwing that close to the top of that bonnet. There's about a centimetre of resin there, and there's no way I'm sticking a screw in there. No way at all. So a bit of CA glue, Make sure we've got the tab orientated correctly for the caliper. We have test fitted all these so we know we've got the right one for the front and rear. And yeah, a little bit of glue on top as well, just to secure it fully. And when you think that all the other hubs are glued in place, so it'll be perfectly fine just being glued. As I say, there's no way I'm drilling and screwing into that thin resin there. No way at all. Like I say, these have all been modified so they fit in a bit better, which they do. The rears weren't too bad. I think they fitted straight in. So just some dabs of CA glue. And we can line the caliper block up with the hole on the hub, and then line the central hole for the hub up with the middle of the disc as well. Like so. There we go. Same on the other side as well. Get it all lined up. Make sure they're straight, make sure the calipers are orientated the right way. And again, these are looking brilliant. The anodized hubs look absolutely fantastic. Same on the other side as well. Yeah, very happy how that turned out. It looks really, really good. And then a quick test fit of some wheels to make sure they fit in place. Everything seems to be sitting square and the ride height's good. The track of the wheels is spot on. Cutting those hubs made a huge difference. And there we go. So the glue's glued, with the back wheels glued in, we're just applying a little bit more CA glue around all those hub connections, and a little bit of CA glue on top to secure our chassis in place as well. So as you can see, we've got all our pedals in there, the seats are in there. There we go, we can close it up and just hold it for a little bit. While we're there, we'll pop our rear wheels in place as well. Love these wheels. The chrome, white and silver really goes well against that blue bodywork. They're absolutely beautiful. Very happy. Like I say, it's been a good kit, this one. The main issue is those hubs. Just need cutting a little bit of modification. We've got some grills to put in place, and I used a technique I've not used for a while here, which is using aqua gloss or any clear varnish that's water-based as a glue. So I'll pop your grill in place, a little bit of aqua gloss on a brush, and just touch the edge, and the capillary reaction will flow in and around the grill, and it's as good as any glue. Give it an hour or so, and they'll be absolutely glued in place. It's a little bit less messy, although the craft bond is good because it's quite thick. You can see where it is sometimes, so this stuff works really well. I've not done this for quite a while. It's funny how you kind of forget about some techniques and all of a sudden they come flooding back, but it's literally a case of have a look where it needs to go. Tiny bit of aqua gloss. And then touch it, let the capillary reaction carry it around where it sits. And then grab our tweezers and just drop it in place. We've got the rear piece of bodywork section. So this has been painted from the inside. It was clear resin. It's got the Skyline kind of badge name on it. And it was just left. It was painted body colour and then glued in place. And then the headlights, they've all been painted up. So we get some craft bond in the back. Again, all been test fitted, so we know everything fits fine. Probably a little bit too much dynamite there, Butch. But we'll spread it out a little bit. There we go. The beauty of the craft bond is if it does splurge out, you can just wipe it off with a moist cotton bud. And even if you leave it to dry, it just kind of balls up and rolls off. So it's a good glue. It's a very good glue for model making. We're going to push these back, push them in, and then we'll get a cotton bud, not lick it, and just wipe off any excess glue. And we're not going to lick this one either. Nope. Anyone that says I licked it is a liar. And there we go. Just get it all lined up, and then leave those to set for a bit. And then we do the headlights. The headlights have been cut off the paw stub and cleaned up with a knife. And we've gone around all the outer edge with our Sharpie to add the seal on the outer edge of the glass. And then we're on to probably the trickiest part of these builds, which is the clear acetate. Now this one, compared to the RX-7, was a piece of cake. That RX-7 was a tough one, especially that rear window. So a quick test fit, all fits in place fine. We've got some Bob Smith's Gold Super, or Super Gold, which incidentally we now stock on Pro Scale with some of their other adhesives, Kicker and Debonder. We're going to go round and apply a semi-generous amount around the edge of the frame and then spread it out. Because this is non-fogging, it literally glues it in place without fogging the plastic at all. So it's just a case of going around and carefully spreading it out. I'm going to show this one window and then we'll skip forward to all the other ones being done. In this case, just a little dollop. Keep it away from the very edge on either side. So you want it right in the middle of the frame. And you don't want too much. You don't want it to squeeze out where it can be seen. It doesn't take a lot at all. There we go. Into the corners. Make sure you got all 4 corners as well. There we go. It's better to be thorough here and put enough glue down than need more later on, because it does become a little bit of a pain. And then using our masking tape trick as a holder, we're just going to offer it up, get it in place. You get a bit of working time with the Bob Smiths, it's good. And then get some cotton buds and become an octopus. So it's got it all lined up. And then push the corners in one side at a time. Then use a nice clean cotton bud, burnish the edges down until it's all glued in place. And like I say, quite simple on this one. You do have to become a little bit of an octopus holding everything. You need multiple fingers and hands. I find holding the bottom 2 corners down whilst using the other hand to burnish the edges down often works best. Like I say, not a very complex window shape on this one, so quite straightforward to do really. But just keep working at it. The Bob Smiths does take a little bit longer, the gold, to grab, just because of the nature of what it is. It's a non-fogging, slow-drying CA glue. So it does give you a bit of time to work it and move it around, but once it grabs, it tends to grab it really well. Like I say, definitely nowhere near as complex as that rear screen on the RX-7. And there we go, there's the front screen down. Same on the side windows and the back one, just get enough glue in there to glue it in place. And then place it in and burnish it down with the cotton buds again. And the side windows, we had to put the mirrors on first on these. I wanted to make sure that the glass would fit, so I put the mirrors in place and then test fitted the glass. And it seemed to fit okay, so we can then commit to glue and get those glued in place. And the same on the other side. Masking tape trick is a great little tip of mine. Just fold over some masking tape to make a little handle on the clear parts, and it saves you having to handle the back and just gives you something to move things around on. And there we go. There's all our glass in, and then the very satisfying part of peeling off the acetate. So nice and slow. Get a sharp scalpel blade just under the edge, and then grab your tweezers and just ease it off gently. And I would recommend after doing this that you let the car sit for a good few hours and let all that glue dry, so that when you're wiping it down with a cloth, you don't inadvertently spread any CA glue around on your bodywork. Window wipers, these have all been pre-made and painted as we did in an earlier part. So a little dab of CA glue and they're held in place. They're a bit tricky. I used to hate building them. I actually hate gluing them in place now. They're just a bit of a pain in the butt to get in there. So just a bit of perseverance and patience and a bit of care. You can get them all lined up and in place where you want them. Like I say, it can take a couple of goes of CA glue to get it in. Once the CA glue grabs it, it tends to hold it quite well. So there we go. That's those in place as well. And then we've got the smallest window washer jets, which I've never done on the car before. These things are minuscule. So a little tiny dab of Tamiya Craft Bond in the hole at the back of the bonnet, and just drop them in place and push them in. Definitely some of the smallest resin parts I've ever put on a model kit before. Quite nervous that they didn't ping off. Thankfully they didn't. But it's a case of get them in the hole, push them down, and let the Craft Bond grab a hold of them. There we go. Very fiddly, but again, adds to the look of the car. Adds a bit of depth and a bit of interest to it. There we go. That's looking really good. Those white wheels against that blue, absolutely fantastic. A beautiful deep blue paint. We've got our spoiler in place now. It's just been glued in the upper and lower level. Literally a bit of Sega. We've got a number plate on the back, which is one of our zoom on ones. We stock at Pro Scale. All the grills are in place. Looks fantastic. Great looking car. It's all been polished with the UMP shine. And here we go. Here's some pictures of it as well. So I've got to remember now, all the way back to the beginning. I think this was primed in Pro Scale Grey Primer. Painted in Pro Scale Nissan Deep Marine Blue. We gave it a Tamiya Black Panel Line Wash after getting the kit decals on. And it was then 2K cleared using Pro Scale Paint's 2K clear system. The wheels were a combination of the Pro Scale Paint's chrome system, Porsche Pure White, and superfine silver on the centres with some black paint for the rivet detail. The interior was a mixture of black grey leather from Pro Scale and anthracite, along with anthracite flocking. And we used some of the Pro Scale hot metal blue for the anodised wheel hubs in the centre. Bit of Tamiya carbon, a polish up of the Trizic pads and the Menzerna, and the polishing set from Zoom as well, the sponges. And there we go, job done. Build number, I think that was number 7 of the year off the bench. There we go. Let's go back to me for some final thoughts. And there we go, all done. Overall, a really nice kit to build, that one. Very impressed. The only issues, like I said, really along the way were those hubs. Just a little bit too long sticking out the back. Not impressed with the way the screw holes are a bit shallow, and they're asking you to drill very close into resin, which I'm not impressed with. But say gluing that on, no bother whatsoever. It didn't really change the way the kit went together. Colour, Pro Scale Deep Marine Blue looks epic. It's a stunning, stunning colour. That with those white decals, those white and chrome wheels, and the 2K from Pro Scale, absolute winning combination. The interior colours, the flocking, again, just a winning combination of colours. As everyone keeps saying, Pro results with Pro Scale. So, yep, there's links to Pro Scale in the description down below. We've just become stockists for Zoom On. And funny enough, the next build you're going to see from me is Tamiya's Honda NSX with the Zoom On Type R kit. We've got Zoom On in. It's all virtually sold out. We've got a massive order coming in. It's the 5th of March today. It should be in by like the 9th. It's a huge order. Loads of trans kits, loads of stuff on there. So you can go and have a look at that. And we've just become stockists of Bob Smith Industries adhesives as well. CA glues, Kicker, Debonder, what have you, are all on the site now as well. So make sure you're going over there. And don't forget, we colour match paints at no extra cost. Just let us know the code and we'll get them on the site as soon as possible for you. Simple as that. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that today. Like I said, the next build you'll see off me on Patreon is the NSX build. I'm trying to do catch up on ISM. So you might see some older build intermixed with newer ones where I'm putting up content that I didn't put up a while back. But yeah, the Honda NSX is next. And then it's a Revell 62 Impala after that. So yeah, make sure you look down below. There's loads of links to everything involved with me, all the social media, the links to everything, all down below. Make sure you sub to the channel, give the video a thumbs up or down. Make sure you click the bell notifications to get notified of the latest videos and leave a comment. I might not reply. I do go through and read every single one. Answering comments takes so much time and I just don't have the time in the day to do it. I often go back and do a block load, read them all again, and try and reply to any questions that have been asked. So please do leave comments. I love reading all your comments. And there we go. That's it. So on to the next build. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good day. And a huge thank you to all my patrons whose name's going to flash up momentarily. So there we go. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.